I've spent a lot of the day really getting through the clutter on what took place in the Indian Ocean. Now, my mind is very analytical. It's very analytical. And little alarm bells go off when I see certain things. And I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. I'm going to tell you what the president did. I'm going to tell you how the reporters are being fed stuff and spewing it. How so many talk show hosts and others just want to bend over backwards to say that they praise the president. But I don't operate that way. I deal in facts and I deal in the truth. So dug deep into this Politico.com piece, I found this. And it made all the sense in the world to me. Obama's involvement in the decision to authorize legal force was legally required, officials said, because it was a hostage situation, not combat, and unrelated to the already authorized U.S. effort against al-Qaeda and other terror groups, officials said. It's not a combat operation, so the lawyers wanted to ensure this was done right, said a second defense official. Now, that's the nub of it. Obama's lawyers came to him and said, we don't have the authority to allow the military to use force against these pirates, which, ladies and gentlemen, is preposterous. Absolutely preposterous. Still, let's stipulate that they believed it. And so, not once but twice, they put paper under Obama's hand to sign Friday evening and then Saturday morning, because something was wrong with the first document they signed, or it wasn't specific enough in their own minds to allow the military to use military force if the commander on the spot decided he needed to use force to free the captain. That's what Obama did. Wasn't any great act of leadership? Wasn't something to marvel at? He apparently signed 2 legal documents authorizing the military to use military force when it should have been free to use military force anyway. Let me repeat what it says. Obama's involvement in the decision to authorize lethal force was legally required, officials said, because it was a hostage situation, not combat, and unrelated to the already authorized U.S. effort against al-Qaeda and other terror groups, officials said. It's not a combat operation, so the lawyers wanted to ensure this was done right, said a second defense official. So the lawyers go to Obama because the military says, look, we may want to use force. I mean, after all, we are the military. And the lawyers go to Obama and say, well, if the military wants to use force in a particular circumstance or wants that authority, you have to sign these documents. So they tell him that Friday evening and they tell him that Saturday morning. And he signs the documents. What's to be praised? I mean, honest to God, I'm just stepping back. Why is this a big deal that Obama did this? The big deal is what the military did, not what the lawyers advised Obama to do, because it was over-lawyered. This wasn't about Obama making any operational decisions, nor should he. In a situation like this, anyway, there's not another country involved. It's not an act of war. It's an act of defending a United States citizen. You need to sign a legal document or two to do that? Well, apparently in this administration you do. So if you don't have the al-Qaeda flag and you have some Somali pirate flag, apparently you have to keep signing legal documents to authorize the military to do what the military should be able to do anyway. And for that, we're supposed to say what a cool guy this is. Now, I want you to hear what I said Friday. I want you to hear what I said Friday, and I said it before at the outbreak of this, because I've been proven true, or accurate anyway. Cut 11, go. This guy is all about himself. What he's really doing is thinking, if I keep my mouth shut, if it goes well, I can take credit because, after all, the Navy ultimately reports to me. The FBI, involved in negotiations, ultimately reports to me. Something goes well, it's my administration, I can pat myself on the back. But if something goes poorly, I can say I relied on the experts, they told me to be quiet, and I wish it would have turned out better. This is how this guy operates. And that's what he did. Now, I'm going to give you a couple examples of the true propagandists for this administration. The complete suckers. Willing suckers, but suckers nonetheless. Here's a guy, Chris Cillizza, of the Washington Compost. I'll read part of what he wrote. The resolution of the Somalian pirate hostage situation on Sunday revealed a White House working actively behind the scenes to avoid the sort of disaster that could come to define the early days of President Obama's administration. On the surface, Obama and his senior aides were only monitoring the situation, but according to a White House official, the administration was far more engaged behind closed doors. Obama received his first briefing on the incident just hours after returning from his 8-day trip abroad on Wednesday, and over the next 48 hours received further briefings to keep him apprised of the situation. So what? He received briefings. Now, what's a briefing? I used to brief an Attorney General of the United States when we had prison riots and other events going on internationally. Sometimes it was a 30-second phone call. Other times it was a 2-hour meeting. So what? What's the big deal? By late Friday, the president had authorized, quote, potential emergency actions, unquote, to free the ship's captain. And he did so again on Saturday. Now, immediately I think, well, why would he have to do so Friday night and Saturday morning? Unless they had to change the document. On Sunday at 4 p.m., listen to me, this is important. At 4 p.m., Obama was on the phone with the rescued captain, congratulating him on his new-won freedom. The president's deep involvement in the hostage situation is a recognition that seemingly small events can grow into massive crises in a matter of days and so forth. His deep involvement? Because the lawyers told him he had to do what I believe the military already has the power to do? That is to protect U.S. citizens without a presidential signature? And so he's on the phone Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time with the freed captain. And then I read from the Associated Press a story that hits the wire at 4:11 p.m. It hits the wire 11 minutes after Obama has talked to the freed captain. Meaning, when he was talking to the freed captain at 4 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, his staffers were spinning the media already. They huddled Obama and his spin team to do this, to time it, to have these simultaneous contacts. It doesn't happen by accident. As Obama is calling the captain, Axelrod and Emmanuel are calling the media. People like that jerk I just read. And here's the Associated Press at 4:11 p.m. with their story. Administration officials say President Obama approved the military operation that rescued a U.S. captain held hostage by Somali pirates. I want you to listen to that. He approved the operation. And I'm going to demonstrate to you why that is a flat-out lie. The officials say Obama ordered the Defense Department to use military resources to rescue Richard Phillips from a lifeboat off the Somali coast. He didn't order them to use military resources. He allowed them to do what the military had to do to free him, to save him. He didn't order them to do anything. The officials discussed this information on the condition of anonymity because they were not yet authorized to disclose the president's decision-making process. The president himself won't discuss today his decision-making process. We can't nail them down on the particulars, and we never will, because they get all this spin from the media, and they don't want to tell you the details. Today they're talking about the economy, a quick hit and run.